Hello, my name is Jacob Hopkinson, and I am a VMware Solutions Architect at Pure Storage. And today I'm going to be demonstrating how to configure NVMe over fabrics, specifically RDMA over Converged Ethernet, also known as RoCEv2, on VMware ESXi version 7. So let's get started. The first step when configuring NVMe over RDMA is to create a distributed switch. You can also create two standard switches on each individual ESXi host. Since this configuration is more simplistic for multiple hosts within the environment, this is what we will be demonstrating today. Once we have created the distributed switch, we then need to edit the MTU size to 9000 to match the configuration of my network switches and my Pure Storage FlashArray ports. The next step will be to add a host. In this case, for simplicity, I have a single ESXi host within my environment that I'm configuring. Obviously, if you have multiple, you would select all of them here. Next, we will select the VM NICs which will be used for the NVMe over RDMA connectivity. After this has been completed, we can then create our distributed port groups. Here I'm going to be naming my port groups Port Group 10 and Port Group 11, as I have two individual networks within my environment that I'm using for connectivity. The important part to note here is the failover order. As you will see there, I selected uplink 1 to remain active, while uplink 2 was moved to the unused. As we create NVMe-oF Port Group 11 here, we will have uplink 2 remain active, while uplink 1 will be moved to the unused uplinks. If you have configured software iSCSI before, you will note that that is the same way we configure software iSCSI. Next, we will create VM kernel adapters for each port group. The important part to know here is ensuring that your MTU size is accurate. Please note that the MTU should be the same size on your VM kernel adapters, your switch, your networking switches, and the Pure Storage FlashArray ports. If they are not the same size, you may note problematic behavior within the network. Things such as VMFS data stores being unable to be created, sporadic network connectivity, and at times performance penalties depending on the type of I/O being sent across the network. MTU misconfiguration was a common issue with iSCSI, so please ensure it is double and triple checked within your NVMe RDMA environment. Here we can confirm our port groups and our virtual switches with our VM kernel ports have been successfully created. The next step will be to go to our storage adapters, and now we will create the NVMe software adapter on the ESXi host. You will note that I have two RDMA devices, one for each VM NIC that I will be using for that connectivity. You may have more. If you have 4 VM NICs, you may have 4 adapters. So it's important to ensure you're selecting the right ones. After we have added the HBAs, we can then add each individual FlashArray IP address that we intend to use. So here, as I'm using two different networks, I will add 2 different IP addresses within each network to each HBA. Here we have added the .11s, and on VMHBA 65, we will add the .10. After all of our controller IP addresses have been successfully added and discovered, we then need to find the NQN, or the NVMe qualified name, for the ESXi host, as unfortunately that is not yet reported in vCenter. So by running ESX CLI NVMe info get, we find our NQN. Then we can go to the Pure Storage FlashArray and create a new host object. Here my host object will be named Barney. If you're a fan of the Andy Griffith Show, you will know what that is in reference to. And we will configure our NQN. Once we've added our NQN, we can create and connect a volume. I've already created multiple volumes, so we're just going to connect one that I already have. We can then come over to the vSphere client and ensure that our targets and devices are accurately reported. And as you'll see on the right hand side, Without a rescan, they have actually populated. So here we have 2 targets, 1 device, and 2 paths for each one. One thing you'll note has changed is volumes are no longer called LUNs with NVMe, but you'll note that they are called namespaces, which is the first tab that I clicked on there. After we have successfully connected our volume, we can then create a new data store to ensure our MTU and network connectivity is solid between the Pure Storage FlashArray and the ESXi host. Once that's finished, we can click on Data Stores, and we can see NVMe test was successfully created. Thank you so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed this video, and please visit us at www.purestorage.com for more information.